is time for the 100s. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus, Ohio, for our continuing live coverage of the Central East Regional Competition. I'm Sean Woodland alongside Bill Grundler. And Bill, the top athletes in the men's division getting set for what is probably the most grueling event that they will face in these 3 days of competition. Everyone who's on the floor right now has been preparing for this event. They know how bad this one's going to be. 100 wall balls, 100 chest-to-bar pull-ups, 100 single-leg squats or pistols, and 100 single-arm dumbbell snatch with a 70-pound dumbbell. Heavy volume, 400 reps total, compared to, if you can add up everything else, it's virtually the same amount of volume over the course of the 3 days. Rory McKernan is on the competition floor and has more on the 100s.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Again, guys, expect to see extremely different strategies going into this. First, the only name in the top 5 we might not have expected to see, Gerald Sasser. He's got extremely planned out workout. He's going to go for sets of 25 on the wall ball. Wants to be done by 4:30. He's going to be doing 15-second intervals on the pull-ups. 10 seconds of work, 5 seconds of rest. So extremely strategized throughout the workout. On the flip side of that, you got Rich Froning Jr. He swears to me he's never done this workout. I don't know if it's a head game, if I buy it. You guys be the judge. Let's check out what happens when those two come together. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Rory. Here's your starting grid. Rich Froning, your overall leader, coming into day 2. He will start in lane number 6. And there's still a battle for those top 3 spots. It's just 16 points separate 8th place from 2nd.
Of course, everyone's talking about Rich taking Jason Khalipa's score, beating his time here, and I'll tell you what, there is no way he has not tried this event. I don't believe it. I think that's a head game. Head game.
The event record is held by Jason Khalipa, 20 minutes, 15 seconds. So Rich Froning will try to chase that down. Let's head down to the floor for Miranda Oldroyd and the introductions.
In lane 12, from Derby City CrossFit, currently in 12th place, Patrick O'Connell. In lane 1, in 11th place, from CrossFit Faith, Matt Hewitt. In lane 11, from CrossFit Maximus, currently in 10th place, Chris Walker. In lane 2, from CrossFit Talon, in 9th place, Will Morad. In lane 10, from CrossFit Polaris, currently in 8th place, Marcus Hendren. In lane 3, from CrossFit Cadre, currently in 7th place, Joe Weigel. In lane 9, from Mad City CrossFit, currently in 6th place overall, Nick Forey. In lane 4, from CrossFit Countdown, currently in 5th place, Gerald Sasser. In lane 8, from CrossFit Mayhem, currently in 4th place overall, Dan Bailey. In lane 5, from CrossFit Grandview, your 2010 CrossFit Games champion, currently in 3rd place, Graham Holmberg. In lane 7, from CrossFit Distinction, currently in 2nd place overall, Scott Panchik. And in lane 6, from CrossFit Mayhem, your 2011-2012 champ, in 1st place once again, Rich Froning.
So there's your field for this 4th and final heat of event number 4. And that man, Gerald Sasser, kind of becoming the Scott Panchik and Marcus Hendren of this year's regional competition, a guy we didn't know much about coming in, but now here he is with the top athletes.
You know, he's in there rubbing shoulders with these big boys, and he has had an unbelievable overall event so far, so I'm really looking forward to see what he does here.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Sasser coming in with 14 points. He's tied with Graham Holmberg and Dan Bailey in the point total, but because of a tie break, he's right now on the outside looking in for the top 3. We're off on the 100 wall balls. In the fourth and final heat of event 4, it's the 100s.
The wall balls, you know, these guys have done probably millions of reps, thousands of reps of wall balls in their training. Wall balls are not a big deal for these guys. It's just a kickstart to this whole event. I think for the most part, you'll see the majority of these guys go a nice big chunk at the beginning, probably somewhere around 50, but they're just gonna stay nice and calm and relaxed. Look at Rich's face there. He is just relaxed. Up and down, hit the target, make the reps count. Use this as your warm-up into the rest of the event.
Now, this movement for these athletes is probably a minor inconvenience on their way through the rest of the thing. Where we've really seen separation happen is on that pull-up bar. Just because you're first off the wall balls doesn't mean you're going to be first off the pull-up bar.
Yeah, again, you know, this entire workout is all about pacing and setting your rest. Rich right there, I mean, he's two-time champ. Obviously the fittest man around over the last 2 years. He broke that up into 25 reps, so that's relatively conservative. But the pull-ups is where I think we're going to see a lot of shuffling around, you know, until we get into those dumbbells. That's when it's really going to happen.
Rich Froning right now about a couple reps off the lead. Chris Walker is your early leader. No surprise there. He's the tallest competitor in the field. He is 6'5", so not a very short distance for him to throw that ball at the target for Chris Walker, as he's now through 52 reps. Rich Froning in the middle of your screen, the defending champion, and now he's taking a break. Froning got himself through about 50 reps before he decided to put the ball down.
All right, now I want you to look at the difference between what Chris Walker's doing and what Patrick O'Connell's doing. Patrick's keeping his hands up in the air. He's in the black shirt, has hands that stay up the whole time, where Chris and a lot of the other athletes are dropping their hands. They're trying to get that blood back in their fingertips. They know that they're going to be hanging on a bar for a really long time. So get that ball up in the air, drop their hands, let the blood come back down, rest a little bit, and then get their hands back up to catch the ball.
And those are your two leaders. On the left and second, Patrick O'Connell, and then on the right, it was Chris Walker, the tallest athlete. He's through 72 reps. That's Joe Weigel. And there's Gerald Sasser in lane 4. Sasser, one of the athletes battling it out for that third spot. He has 14 points overall after 3 events. The time to beat here today, 24:07. That belongs to Mitch Barnard. Did that in the second heat.
So because you have so many big names in this heat here, if you're one of the newer guys, what you have to do is not get all caught up in the excitement of being in the top heat with these big names. You have to hold to your game plan and just stay relaxed. You got a lot of reps to hit. Again, this right here is not the race. Just kind of get through this and then get yourself ready for the pull-ups.
Your leaders are right there in the middle of the screen coming into this event. Rich Froning in lane number 6. And then your leaders right now in this heat on the right in lane 1 is Patrick O'Connell. Next to him in the blue is Chris Walker, all 6'5" of him. I mean, this is just a chip shot for him on that wall ball.
Yeah, wall balls for him are not an issue. He did say he doesn't like the body weight movements, and guess what we have coming up next?
Well, Walker is right on his chest to bar pull-ups, and he's employing that butterfly technique. So he's the first man on the pull-up bar, but as we've seen in the past, just because you're first to the bar doesn't mean you're going to be the first off of it. Now in lane 6, Rich Froning getting to work on his chest to bar pull-ups, and Scott Panchik in lane 7. So now more of the leaders starting to finish up their 100 wall balls and get onto the chest to bar pull-ups. Froning went with a set of 10.
And I think we're going to see that pretty regularly for a lot of these big boys, at least up to 50. I bet they're going to be hitting sets of 10 on a pretty regular basis. After that, they may bring it down a little bit to 5s or 3s, but I think they can all handle 10 in the beginning.
Froning in lane 6, now through 20 reps. Chris Walker's through 25, and now every athlete except for Matt Hewitt in lane 1 is done with the wall balls. Rich Froning looking very smooth on those chest to bar pull-ups. We saw him do something very similar in that 13.5 head-to-head competition that he had with Jason Khalifa on those chest to bar pull-ups. He looked very methodical on those.
Yeah, pull-ups are not a problem. You know, he's a bigger athlete, 195 pounds, but pull-ups are not an issue for him. He has an uncanny ability for a lot of those body weight movements to do so well at them, and then so well when he's doing any kind of weighted movements as well.
So Rich Froning through 39, now through 40. Chris Walker is through 38. And Froning started off with a 5th place finish in Jackie. It's a little deceiving there because all the top 5 were within less than a second of each other. But then he set an event record on number 3, and he finished 2nd in the world on event 2.
You know, he just broke down into a set of 5. Now he's doing sets of 5 and he didn't even get to pitches. I think it's a pretty smart move. Hit 10 until you know you're not going to be able to do that anymore, then go into sets of 5. If you start to fail at that, then drop down to sets of 3 so you're not sitting there for too long.
Rich Froning off the bar, but he's through 54. Scott Panchik currently sits in 2nd place, and it's Dan Bailey now moving into 3rd. We approach the 6-minute mark, 25-minute time cap, and so far only 2 men in this region have completed this event inside the 25-minute time cap. Scott Panchik, 2nd overall, best finish in event 2, where he took 2nd place, has yet to finish outside of the top 7.
Look at that. All these guys are moving smoothly, though, for those sets of 5. And look how short that rest is. Counting himself down to probably 5 seconds and then getting right back on the bar.
Rich Froning through 70 reps. He is about 6 ahead of Scott Panchik, and now Dan Bailey moving up as well. Nick Forey is there, as is Marcus Hendren. Graham Holmberg, only 8 reps separating those men, but it's Rich Froning squarely in the lead with 75 chest-to-bar pull-ups down.
You know, all these guys, even Graham Holmberg right there, I think they've all employed that sets of 5 as they're making their way through. Again, what's important is keeping that rest time down. And you know what's so great? These guys are such smart athletes. They're not getting overexcited about what they have to do. They know that they need to keep below that red line so that they're able to get through this easily and efficiently and hopefully finish this workout.
That's Chris Walker in lane 11. He's through 62, and he was the first man to the pull-up bar, but now he is falling back in the pack. Rich Froning with 10 to go before he moves on to the one-legged squats. It's probably not too early to start talking about it, but the event record belongs to Jason Khalifa. He did it in 20 minutes and 15 seconds.
Wow, you know, again, for a guy who said he didn't do this, I don't believe it. I mean, that looks extremely strategized right there. It's very consistent unless he is just that mature of an athlete at 25 years old.
Rich Froning is onto the one-legged squats. He's the first athlete there and going right into that movement as we approach the 8-minute mark. 25-minute time cap on this, and Froning now your leader as he is the first man to the 3rd movement in this event.
The fact that he is this far ahead already is really, really impressive. Again, I don't think any of the guys are going to make up a whole lot of distance during the pistols. It's going to happen during the snaps, but, you know, he's well ahead right now, and I think that's going to work in his favor without a doubt.
In lane 7, it's Scott Panchik now moving on to the one-legged squats.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just a matter of, is he going to chase Jason's record or not? He said he's not worried about event records right now. He just wants to win so he can get himself to the games. But I don't know. I think everybody likes to be on top.
Now, Rich Froning has completed his first set of 20. Dan Bailey will be the 3rd man to the one-legged squats, and Nick Forey is there as well. So more and more athletes finishing up their initial set of 100 chest-to-bar pull-ups, and here comes Graham Holmberg, the 2010 Games champion, right next to Rich Froning. So your leaders in the middle of your screen in lanes 5, 6, and 7. Froning coming into 1st place overall, Scott Panchik behind him in 2nd, and then Graham Holmberg battling a couple other men for that 3rd position. But Holmberg sits in 3rd place overall, just receiving a no rep on one of those squats. 5 to go now for Rich Froning in his 2nd set of 20. We're approaching the 10-minute mark. Again, the event record is Jason Khalifa, 20 minutes and 15 seconds. And Froning continues to move here. No sign of slowing down for the 2-time defending CrossFit Games champion.
You know, when we talk about the CrossFit Games champion, he's the fittest man on the planet, or at least it has been the last 2 years. What we're looking at in the CrossFit realm is fitness. How much work can you do? over a broad time in modal domains. How many different things are you going to be good at? And everything that is thrown at this guy, he crushes. It's uncanny how good he is at all these different events.
You would not expect a man to put 315 pounds over his head and squat it and then go and set an event record in a movement like a burpee muscle-up. But that's exactly what he did yesterday in events 2 and 3, and now it looks like he might be chasing down another event record as he moves to his 4th set of 21-legged squats. So now it's Rich Froning in this heat, and it's everybody else, as it looks like the battle will be for 2nd place. And right now it's Scott Panchik, Dan Bailey, Nick Forey, and Graham Holmberg all fighting for 2nd place as Rich Froning, the man in front in the middle of your screen, continues to widen his lead over the man on the right in the red shoes and no shirt. That is Scott Panchik, who came into this event 2nd overall.
You know, they're just not going to be able to catch him. Everyone's going rep for rep, so there isn't going to be a whole lot of movement. Unless they stay pace with Rich, he's going to actually advance a little further here, but that's not what these other athletes want. They want to reel him in, so they need to pick up the tempo. I'd expect someone like Dan Bailey, a little bit shorter legs, to really pick it up here and try to catch Rich into the dumbbells.
Rich Froning is through 80 reps of his alternating one-legged squats. After this, it's the final movement, 170-pound dumbbell snatches. And Chris Walker, who is the first man to the pull-up bar, has just now gotten to the one-legged squats.
Well, he said he didn't like the body weight movements, and that was probably one of the worst ones you could do.
Rich Froning still in the lead now. 10 to go before he moves on to the one-arm dumbbell snatches. Scott Panchik on the right of your screen with the red shoes and the blue knee bands is in 2nd place, and now it's Dan Bailey in 3rd place. He's 5 reps back of Panchik for 2nd, but now it's Rich Froning moving on to the one-arm dumbbell snatches as we approach the 12-minute mark. So he has another event record in his sights. That belongs to Jason Khalipa. 20 minutes, 15 seconds. And if Rich Froning really did not practice this event, I guarantee you that a lot of other athletes are not going to practice.
Yeah, I'm not going to practice anymore if this is what it does for you. Now, the cool thing about this is we have all seen dumbbell snatches last year. We had that dumbbell snatch in the sprint where the guys had to throw 100 pounds over their head. This year it's 70 pounds, but we're doing twice as many reps. Last year we had to do 40. This year we're doing 100. All right, a little bit more than twice as many.
Well, the last man to actually beat Rich Froning in a competition is Graham Holmberg, and Holmberg currently battling Nick Forey, Dan Bailey, and Scott Panchik for 2nd place. Holmberg's through 80 reps. He's 5 back of Panchik.
Now, of these guys, last year when they were doing that dumbbell snatch sprint, the next best score was Graham Holmberg. He actually got 336 in that dumbbell event. Scott Panchik had 354, so they at least have a shot at chasing Rich. You know, they've done this. They've been in the same position head-to-head with Rich like this, so they need to get up in there, because being 20 reps behind is not what you want to be behind Rich Froning.
Yeah, usually if you're behind Rich Froning, you stay there. He does not let people catch him, and now he is through his first set of 20 one-arm dumbbell snatches. We're past 13 minutes. Again, the event record is 20 minutes, 15 seconds, and Dan Bailey looking really tired right there as he works his way through his final one-legged squat. Bailey putting on a belt, and he will move to the dumbbell snatches. Nick Forey right next to him is also done. Forey putting on a belt. He's moving to the one-arm dumbbell snatches, and Scott Panchik is on the dumbbell as well. But they have a lot of distance to make up if they want to catch that man, Rich Froning, who continues to lead this event. The time to beat is 24:07. That is easily within Froning's grasp. Now the question is, can he beat Jason Khalipa's event record of 20 minutes, 15 seconds?
You know, the fact that he's holding, I thought maybe he'd break it up into sets of 10. He's virtually going for sets of 20 without stopping. I mean, he hasn't even slowed down at all yet.
Now, Froning needs to be careful on the descent. If that dumbbell bounces too much, he may get a no rep. They have to control that dumbbell on the way down, but he hasn't been penalized for it yet. Capacity crowd looking on. They may be getting set to witness another event record here at the Ohio Expo Center in Event 4 of the Central East Regional, and you can see just how many people are packed into this facility for this regional competition. We're not even at the games yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's virtually a who's who in CrossFit. But the fact that these guys are moving so fast, I really honestly think that we could have 5 guys at least in this heat finish. just not slowing down. You can see how much more fit these guys here in the front are across the whole world virtually. We've only had 10% of the guys actually finish this event. We had 2 guys finish today so far. We're gonna have a vast majority of that percentage happen right here.
We're past the 15-minute mark, so 10 minutes to go before we hit the time cap, but that should not be a concern at all for Rich Froning as he has reached the halfway point in his 100 dumbbell snatches. He's through 52 reps now. Scott Panchik next to him. On the right of your screen, Panchik currently in second place. On the left of your screen is Graham Holmberg. Holmberg right now in fourth, and Dan Bailey on the far right of your screen currently sits in third place overall. But right now it's Rich Froning running away with this heat, running away with this event, and possibly steamrolling another event record. Jason Khalipa currently holds it in 20 minutes, 15 seconds. Froning's judge's hand goes in the air. Now Froning moves on to his 4th set of 20. 16 minutes down in this event. 4 minutes to go for Froning if he wants to chase down Jason Khalipa's event record.
You know, I think he's just composing himself right there because he knows exactly how much time he has. Every time he steps on that number, he virtually goes unbroken. He doesn't rest until he's moving that dumbbell. So the fact that he's holding this together right now, he knows exactly what he needs to do, and he is right on time for that. Perfect tempo to actually catch Jason.
The time to beat, no concern for Rich Froning, 24:07. That's Mitch Barnard, but that probably will not last. The event record again, 20 minutes, 15 seconds, and Rich Froning is closing in on that. Now through 70 reps of the one-arm dumbbell snatches.
Wow, right there is his first break at 10. First time at 70 reps that he actually broke at 10. So you can tell it's starting to, your fatigue's starting to set in, but his tempo and his pace is so fast right now.
Plenty of people here from Rich Froning's gym, CrossFit Mayhem, wearing those blue shirts in the crowd, and they continue to cheer on the 2-time defending CrossFit Games champion as he is tearing through these one-arm dumbbell snatches. The fans from CrossFit Maximus getting into it as well as they cheer on Chris Walker. Walker trying to get through the one-legged squats. Is now everybody about 6 deep at the rails. They're packed in the stands, and they're watching one of the best performances we've seen so far across any regions here in this event. And Rich Froning on his final set. 17 minutes, 30 seconds gone by. The event record, 2015. Froning taking a quick break. And now he'll get back to work on the dumbbell. Rich Froning in first place. He already has 2 wins so far. He already has 1 event record. He did that yesterday. And now he's looking for his 3rd win of the competition and his 2nd event record in as many events.
I want to know if he's going to be able to go all 20 straight right here. That's what he needs to do if he wants to hit that record. He doesn't need to beat the rest of the crowd right now. He's done that. Is he going to chase that record? Is he going to give this crowd a show? Look, everyone's got their phones up. They want to record this record being broken.
Rich Froning could make a trip to the concession stand and come back, and he'd probably still be in the lead. Scott Panchik's in second place. He's through 65 reps. But now it's Rich Froning with 10 to go, and he has less than 2 minutes to get them before he hits the mark that Jason Khalipa set of 20 minutes and 15 seconds. And Froning on the dumbbell.
He is well above that pace. Took him only a minute to get that last 10.
Rich Froning, another event record in his sights. Right now it's 20 minutes, 15 seconds, but that's most likely going to change. 5 reps now for Rich Froning. He already has 1 event record. He's looking at a 2nd one. 3 to go for Froning as the crowd is counting him down. Froning is done. Move over Jason Khalipa. The defending champ is strolling his way to an event record. He beats it by more than a minute.
Let me just walk in and beat the record, the event record. Unbelievable job.
19 minutes, 5 seconds. And he said he didn't practice.
Yeah, I still don't buy that one.
New event record for Rich Froning. His 3rd win in 4 events here at the Central East Regional, and his 2nd event record in as many events. Meanwhile, it's Scott Panchik trying to finish 2nd. Panchik now with 7 reps to go. And he's trying to get inside 20 minutes. Panchik, if it wouldn't be for Rich Froning, would have a shot at the event record.
Absolutely. Look at that. He's still moving. You know, I wouldn't have thought that Jason's record would have been beat this bad, but wow, having multiple people.
And here comes Panchik, and he's going to beat Jason Khalipa's time by about 14 seconds, 20:01 unofficially for Panchik as he finishes in second place. Your top two overall coming into this event. They'll stay there after event number 4. So Panchik with blood on his hands, but he has a top 2 finish here in event number 4. Dan Bailey now trying to hold off Graham Holmberg for third place. Bailey with 82 reps down. He's on his final set of 20.
You know, these guys are battling for third overall as well, also being in this heat. So, wow, just the fact that Rich and Scott were able to hold up there. And these three guys, it's not like they're doing bad. They're still in 20 minutes right now. Are you kidding me?
There is not a fan in his or her seat right now. All these people are standing up, still cheering on these athletes as they know they are watching some of the most elite CrossFitters in the world in this region take on this grueling event. We're past the 21-minute mark. On the left, Graham Holmberg. On the right is Dan Bailey. Holmberg currently in third place in this heat and third place in this event. And Dan Bailey on the right with a few more reps to go before he closes out his final set of 100 and crossing the finish line. Bailey now with one more to go. Being cheered on by training partner Rich Froning. Bailey's done. He'll run to his finish pad. Now Froning moves on to cheer on 2010 CrossFit Games champion Graham Holmberg. Dan Bailey gets in unofficially with a time of 21:26. Graham Holmberg finishing up, so Bailey helping his cause as he came in, tied with Holmberg with 14 points, so it's going to be Bailey moving ahead of Holmberg for that third and final spot. Holmberg is done, and he will cross the finish line, so the 2010 champ gets in unofficially with a time of 21:53 seconds. He will finish fourth in this event and collapsing at the finish line. Rich Froning moving his way down to cheer on some more of his fellow competitors. Dan Bailey, you don't see that often from these athletes.
No, these guys are so fit, so strong, so powerful. But to see them absolutely smash. Now, I will say this. You saw how wrecked everyone is, but look at the champ.
No, he's
already up-rested already.
Walking around. Nick Forey has finished. He's taking a breather.
Look at that. Let me help you out. I just smashed the record, but let me come over and I'll help you out real fast.
As a competitor, if you're watching this and you know you're in the games and you have to take this guy on, mentally, what does that do to you watching this?
It makes you think, wow, I obviously need to put a whole lot more volume into my workouts.
More athletes finishing up. 25-minute time cap, and this field, for the most part, looks like they have a chance of the majority of their athletes getting in. That's Gerald Sasser, who came in 5th place overall, falling back a bit, but we still have 3 events to go after this one, including one later on this evening.
It'll be interesting to see what this workout does for some heavy box jumps and some heavy big deadlifts. Heavy deadlifts, big box jumps in the next workout. I've just got exhausted watching all these guys. I think that's what the problem is.
Gerald Sasser finishing up his final set of 20. He has 5 reps to go. Sasser trying to stay in the top 10 here. Only 2 men before this heat finish inside the 25-minute time cap. So if Sasser can finish inside that 25 minutes and beat the time of 24:07, he should be able to stay in the top 10. He is done. Sasser moving on to his finishing pad. And he gets in with a time of 23:46. So Sasser will finish 6th overall in this event. Rich Froning is in lane 1 cheering on Matt Hewitt. In lane number 2, Will Morad comes in. Morad 24:02, so he beats the time to beat. In lane 3, that's Marcus Hendren coming in lane number 10. So Hendren, a guy who's now going to have to do some work and get some help to get himself back to the CrossFit Games. Gerald Sasser signing his scorecard. 30 seconds to go before we hit the time cap. Froning trying to encourage Matt Hewitt to finish this one out. He has a couple reps left, just 2 to go now for Matt Hewitt. The crowd still on its feet. And one of the things you gotta love about CrossFit, the man who finishes last often gets cheered more than the man who finishes first.
Yeah.
Matt Hewitt is done, and he will get inside of the 25-minute time cap.
You're going to see as we get closer and closer with these last final athletes, the crowd's going to get louder and louder and louder. They've all been there. We've all been there. We know exactly what it feels like to be that guy that needs that help.
That's the horn. Dan Bailey congratulating Rich Froning, who sets another event record. He smashes the previous time of 2015 set by Jason Khalifa. Scott Panchik will finish second, and then Dan Bailey rounding out the top 3 as Rich Froning acknowledges the crowd, congratulating Joe Weigel. So Dan Bailey, Rich Froning, and Scott Panchik, your top 3. Dan Bailey was third off the pull-up bar, but did good work on the pistols and on the dumbbell snatches.
You can tell how hard that workout was for him. I mean, sweating, snotting, spitting, not caring, just trying to actually get through that. He was pushed to his limit. I think that was a great workout. Great job he did on that.
Scott Panchik finished second, and Panchik was on Froning's heels when they started the one-legged squats, but he couldn't keep up with the champ.
Yeah, that's a rough thing to chase, you know.
Not many people can.
Even he got and was able to knock out Jason Khalifa's record.
And finally, Rich Froning, who was steady on those wall balls, managed his rest well and ran away with this thing.
There's a reason he's been the champ 2 years in a row. I mean, you hate to say the word three-peat, but he's going to be tough to beat.
Well, he's certainly putting on a show here at the Central East Regional. Let's go down to Emily Turner with the new event record holder.
All right, well, Bill said the word three-peat, and we can officially say three-peat here. This is now your 3rd win in a row, and obviously this is a long workout. At what point do you just say, boy, this really sucks?
Before we even started, I think. You sit in that corral, you have a softball on your stomach, and you're just like, man, this is terrible, just the nerves and all that. As soon as 3, 2, 1 goes, it's gone. And then you're just running on adrenaline. The last 30 reps, though, gut check.
And when you talk about three-peat, I mean, obviously you're going into this to win. You're going to the games, hopefully, to win that. Is there more pressure as a 2-time games champion?
Yes and no. There's always pressure. I don't like to lose. But in the end, you know, it matters. But, yeah, I want to win. So I'm trying to be nice, I guess. I'm trying to figure out a way to say that. But, yeah, I want to win.
Well, you know what? You've got 2 event records now under your belt and 3 wins. So congratulations and good luck the rest of the weekend, Rich. Thanks.
Thanks, Emily. Rich Froning, his 3rd straight victory here at the Central East Regional and the 2nd straight event record that he set. Scott Panchik will finish 2nd, and then Dan Bailey and Graham Holmberg rounding out the top 4. After 4 events, it's Froning now still in single digits. Scott Panchik sits in 2nd. It's Dan Bailey now jumping Graham Holmberg for 3rd place.
You know, I really want to see what that workout does now to the later events. Rough 2 days. We got some heavy deadlifts, like I was saying earlier, into tomorrow. So I want to see if there's any issues that these guys have on the backside. I want to see how much tape they're going to come out with in the next event.
So after a 5th place finish in Jackie, Rich Froning has ripped off 3 straight victories, and this capacity crowd could be witnessing another record later on when the men go after event 5, the heavy deadlifts and the box jumps.